Welcome back to another video for Solo Leveling Season 2, Episode 12, The Ant King vs. Sung Jin-Woo. Woo, baby, that episode was fire! Especially the second half, oh. But the first half though, it was kind of iffy. I wasn't really a big fan of it, you know, it was alright. But the second half, woo, chef kisses, you know, it was mighty fine. But enough of that, and let's get on to the comparisons. You know, the manhwa versus the anime. Now, I don't have the anime comparison. I'd assume you guys would just remember it, you know. I'll just talk about the panels that's shown, like the ones that were different or cut out from the anime, you know, not included. And this is only manhwa only, all right? So yeah, let's get right into it, shall we? Now, I'm gonna start from like the beginning, you know, building up to like the climax of it. And in the manhwa, the beginning, it started with the cameraman. He was like, oh god, he was like reminiscing about some old family member. He was like, I can't believe the last thing I said to him was be careful or don't eat that or something about food, you know, whatnot. And then like Igris pops up, and above him he can see like a purple sword stabbing through the ants. And then into the when the camera worked, you know, when the camera was working in the anime, they had some troubles, but in the manhwa they were actually blocking the footage. Like, it wasn't like the camera that was the problem or wasn't working. It was the TV cast or whoever was part of the TV station. They were like blocking it. They're like, holy shit, we can't be showing this. Their hunters are getting murked. They're like, oh my god, holy shit, we cannot be showing this to the country. Especially when everyone was thinking they were the shit, you know. They finally got their victory, that revenge. And then all of a sudden it's got smirked. Everything was getting clapped, you know. They see the hunters dying, especially the black ant popping up. They're like, oh god, we gotta block this. You remember, since they had like a 10-minute delay before actually showing the live footage. And then when Sang popped out and it showed in their little camera thing in the TV station, they're like, oh savior, finally our channel views and whatnot, and the nation's hero. So they decided to finally start it, and once they started, they can't stop it anymore, you know. I don't know how that works, but yeah, that was the thing. And then this was pretty similar to the anime, except for the camera breaking thing. That wasn't really the thing in the manhwa. And then the arrival. Now let me tell you, in the manhwa, the arrival, absolute cinema, absolute cinema. I kid you not, when Sung arrived, no homo, he was most probably the most sexiest man alive at that moment, okay? Because some of the panels that the artist drew, oh my god, there's no way the anime could compete, okay? No shot. The first half of Sung's arrival, there's no way the anime could compete. Now in the second half, I'll give it to the anime, okay? The second half, the fighting was phenomenal, all right? I'll give you that. And also, just so you guys know, in the anime, Sung struggled way more, right? There was no scenes of Beru almost like killing him in the eye, stabbing him. So yeah, he was having much more struggles in the anime compared to the manhwa. Now, as you can see in this panel, Sung looking dripped out. This is when he arrived with his shadows and everything. As you can see with his shadow extraction, he's looking like a what do you call that, cursed mark or something from Naruto. That's how it looks like. It looks sick, I'll tell you that. See, as you can see, the shadows behind him, purple colored and everything, and Sung over here, the bottom. And in here, it was different. In the anime, he didn't actually use the daggers until after the Ant King transformed into his second face. That was in the anime. In the manhwa, he used it straight away. Right when he arrived, he was like, right, time to start chopping up. He took out those demon daggers that he defeated Baran and got the things with. As you can see, it's a pretty cool design. There's eyes in here, like at the handle and whatnot. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And as you can see, oh, the panels, oh god, he looks so good. The one gripe I have about the anime Sung Jin-Woo's design is that, first of all, the pointy chin, you know, that's kind of obvious, but he's looking way too skinny, all right? Like, what's up with this? The Sung in the manhwa, bro, he looks way more beefy and wham compared to the anime version. I don't know why. He looks skinny. His like neck is skinny as well. It's like, what is going on here? Where did all your training go? You know, but that's just me. And he didn't hesitate to summon the shadows of the ants. In the anime, nah, he was about to, but he was also worried. He's like, oh, people here, and he was right about to, but then the Ant King popped up. But in the manhwa, he didn't give a shit. He was like, all right, finish cutting them up, time to arise them. and he does that, and then these ants start chomping them up, and especially the camera is like, what the fudge am I witnessing? He was having the most bewilderment moment in his life. All right, ants attacking ants. He's like, what? And then the scene with Cha Hae-in. All right, I don't know if this was in the novel, because if it was, then all right, fair play. But if it wasn't, why would that anime include the second potion being used? Because that was never the case in the manhwa. He never used no second potion. He just used the regular old red potion that he used for everybody else. He didn't use that miracle second potion for Cha Hae-in. So yeah, that was one thing that was different. And then the standoff. This is pretty similar to the anime, you know, it is what it is. But come on, man. Sung looks way more arrogant, alright? Now, I told you, he didn't really have difficulty or much difficulty in the manhwa, you know. It was more focused on Sung like beating the Ant King's ass, you know. It was no difficult. In the anime, he was having some difficulties. So the only moment Sung really smiled or smirked in the anime was after like the Ant King like yelled at him. It was like, huh, an insect is an insect or something like that. But in here, as you can see, he's walking up to him all confident and everything. He's like, huh, smiling. And yeah, the same thing, he yells at Sung Jin-Woo. And oh my god, look at this panel. Look at how smooth this man's skin is. Holy shit. Yo, when I saw this panel for the first time, I don't know, like my sexuality was about to change or something. I was like, oh my god. Do you guys see why I say in this fight, Sung Jin-Woo in some of these panels, he like was the most sexiest man, must be the sexiest man in the whole manhwa verse, okay? Because this is ridiculous. What is this, bruh? Look at this smooth ass skin. Oh my god, with all the hype build up when you were reading the chapters and then this scene pops up, or panel I guess, it was unreal, right? It was really unreal. I'm kind of disappointed that they went with the other route of Sung having more difficulties and there was no such like scenes like this, you know. Whatever, but there was this one other one that I was really hoping they had, but they didn't. I don't know, I just found it not good. That's why I didn't really like the first half. His arrival scene, that was the most hype moment, his arrival. But you know, it is what it is. They added the budget towards the fighting, so I guess fair trade-off. And then Japanese side, you know, Matsumoto having problems. He's like, what the fuck? Goto's dead. 7 out of 10 of our Japanese hunters are dead. Now in the manhwa, he was like, okay, turn on the TV. What's going on? They're like, what is happening? Because you know, Korea is recording it, so they obviously know it. So Matsumoto is like, turn on the goddamn TV. What's going on? But in the anime, they didn't show that. So yeah. And in the manhwa, it was more concealed of Sung being a hunter. Like the TV isn't working and they weren't actually watching the Jeju raid. At least I don't think they weren't. But yeah, that was not really the case. Jin-Woo wasn't really in the room watching with her mother or anything. The TV wasn't working, and then Jin-Woo comes out. He's like, "Mom, what are you doing?" You know. But then she goes back because she hears her mom saying, "I heard." Jin-Woo asked like, "Where's Sung?" And then their mother is like, he went out for a bit, and then she goes to her room. She checks the phone. And she's like, "What the fuck? What is he doing in the raid?" You know. So yeah, in the anime, what do you call it? Jin-Woo was like, "I heard he went out to go out for a bit, but you didn't really like see anyone saying that to her." So yeah, this is pretty much the same. I don't know if this is a doctor over here or what, but yeah, it's pretty much the same as this in the anime. I just wanted to show the panel, you know. And then the fight. This is the panel I was talking about. Not this one, the one after it, okay? Now, they show Sung taking the hit from the Ant King. You know when they were going blow for blow, punch for punch, stuff like that? They show it. It's like boom in the face. And then there's another panel with his legs like shuddering, like jittering, I mean, because the blow being that strong. And then there's this panel. Oh my god, bruh. Do you see this? Bro, look at that neck. Oh my god, he's beefy. But look at this pose though. Look at this fluidity in this movements. Oh my god. The anime can never, alright? Some of the stuff they do is stiff, which is I don't really like that. Obviously when they go ham on the animation, it doesn't look stiff, but that's only for those moments. Consistently it's just kind of stiff, which you know, whatever. But that's how it is in the anime compared to the manga. Just look at this, man. It's so sick. And then he's like, all that for a drop of blood, and just spits out the blood. And then he's like, my turn. And boom! He just basically crushes his head. You know, I'm trying not to say this dude's name. It's just pretty hard, all right, because he's a pretty fond character in the series. You know, I'm trying, guys. I'm sorry if I'm like stopping and starting, because I'm trying not to spoil it. Right, so basically the Ant King got his ass folded and gets sent. In the anime they have more blows, but in the manhwa, Sung strikes back and sends the ants flying. King flying. And then the Ant King comes back, and then Sung is like, oh yeah, he notices that the exoskeleton is pretty hard, that's what's protecting him, and he gets excited by that. Just look at this panel, he looks pretty evil, you know, just so sick. Look at this, the force, you know, when he was using it, the ruler's hand or something like that. Oh my god, these panels are amazing. And then they go for the blow for blow, as you can see. That was like pretty much similar to the anime. Yeah, this is the ant's perspective. He's like, what the fuck? Who am I facing? The hell? This is not who I thought I was gonna face. And then we have the panel with the Japanese hunter. This guy being terrified, you know? I didn't include too many panels. I just had this one because it's pretty much the same as this in the anime. Pretty similar, except for the facial expressions being a bit better in the manhwa. So yeah, they were pretty much terrified, and like helicopter coming in to take them out, stuff like that. Especially this guy. He was traumatized because he was with Goto, and he saw what happened to Ishida and probably Goto too, because I mean they're getting the news now that Goto got clocked. So they're not in the sweetest of positions, you know. I don't know if they knew the plan, but yeah, it wasn't too great. And then we have more blows to blow as Sung hits the ant, and this time when he hit it, the ant went flying as it did in the anime. The final hit, the ant went flying. But in the manhwa, the ant was like nervous and getting confused. So did in the anime, but that was more later on. In the manhwa, he got punched to oblivion. He was like, what? You're getting up from the rubble? What's going on? He was starting to get nervous. He's like, what the fuck? As you can see, I don't know, it's kind of funny. You could see his hands like on his head. It's like, what is going on? His head must have been rattled. And this is Sung. He's like, since my senses have increased, I can feel the ant's emotion. And he's like, I'm pretty sure he's starting to feel pretty nervous now because his exoskeleton is getting obliterated and he's not really putting any dent in Sung, like in terms of damage at all, you know. And then we have these other S rankers who's witnessing the fight. Bike obviously went into his half beast transformation so he can see what's going on in the fight because it's too fast. It's not like in the Sharingan. He's like, what? Well, more like the Byakugan in this case, with how far he can see. And then here, as you can see, the streaks with blue and red, as it was in the anime, but it was more fire in the anime. You know, it was like, apologies for that cringy ass sound effects. You know, it's just I was hyped for the moment. You know, when they did all that Beyblade moment, it's like going like lightning and everything. As you can see, the anime, beautifully done. That's what animation is for, you know, those moments that can't be captured too well in the manhwas. And then what is this? Oh yeah, if you guys didn't know, he had this skill, like a critical hit, where he attacks those critical hits, but it's been upgraded to mutilate, just in case you guys didn't really understand it like in the anime. I know it was a bit rough to see because all the fights going on, and then all of a sudden like the Ant King was about to penetrate his eye, and then it was like upgrade. You're like, what? Upgrade what? It was a skill, and he upgraded from critical attack to mutilate. Yep. And then we have the same scene as is in the anime with the Ant King summoning the other ants, except this time he isn't like cut apart, like his limbs and his legs are cut apart, which I was kind of surprised about. I was like, what? Damn! Like the Ant King's like sitting on the floor, well, not even sitting, with his legs chopped up, his hands chopped up. I was like, okay, that was different. And then yeah, this is Cha. No, not Cha. Mr. Ma, that big ass giant dude. He saw like Tusk firing this beam of fire. It was the same thing as is in the manhwa. And then he is commenting, he's like, it feels like I'm seeing the devil himself, as you can see here, which I don't blame him. He does kind of look devilish, you know, with all these skulls and these tattoos and his skull like necklace. Pretty much his design, whole ass looks devilish with these black and purplish like colors and shadows. And then this panel with Tusk behind him, and then Sung popping up out of the rubble with the Ant King just witnessing the terror that's about to befall on him, you know, as he already got his ass beat. He already knows what's coming next. And then, oh my god, just look at these panels. This is so many people's profiles, just, you know, like everyone, like I've seen, like many people seem to have this profile, which I don't blame it. It's like sick ass panel, you know. And then this panel too, oh my god, you start to question who is the real villain here, huh? Because the Ant King, you have more sympathy towards the Ant King if you forget what he's done to like Shimizu, you know, because at this point in time, obviously you wouldn't know, since this is just a side secret story. Like Shimizu, the S-ranker that got her head chopped off, the healer, she has like a side story in the game that is actually prevalent in the novel too. But yeah, if you didn't know that, which you wouldn't if you read the manhwa, you start to sympathize with the Ant King. You're like, damn, I kind of feel bad for him. He was like holding his hand, his hand on his head. He was like shaking up. He's like, since the day I was born. This is funny too. He's having a monologue to himself. Since the day I was born, I was the strongest. It's like, bitch, since the day you was born, you were born like yesterday. What do you mean since the day you was born? What is he talking about? It's like as if he had millennium years and years of experience and fighting to be calling like since the day I was born. Like what? I'm pretty sure you hatched like a couple days ago, if not yesterday. So yeah, it's pretty. And then the jumping and cutting him up, that was the same as this in the anime, except I don't know, maybe that was just me. I feel like the utilization of the blue eyes in the anime was way too much. Like I feel like that was kind of overdone, especially in this scene. It looked so thick, and when they do this, they don't usually show like the eyes, you know. It's usually just bluish, like just blue. So it just kind of looked weird. I was put off by that, but whatever, you know. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If I showed you guys any more, that would be spoilers for the next episode. But yeah, that's all for the differences as from the manhwa to the anime. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, comment, you know, like, subscribe, and there'll be more coming soon, especially episode 13, which I thought would be dropping, but apparently that was, I guess, just a rumor. I don't know. It's kind of sad because I was hoping 2 episodes, but it is what it is. You guys enjoyed? Put a like, comment, subscribe. I already said that. I don't know what I'm blabbing about, but see you guys next time. Peace.